I wasn't good enough for their Christmas photo, but good enough to pay every bill they ignored. That framed lie on the mantel stared back at me like a middle finger from God, my face scrubbed out with some cheap Photoshop job, replaced by empty space where my sacrifices should have been etched in gold. And right then, knife in one hand and a bottle of bourbon in the other, I swore on the ghost of every holiday I'd faked through that I'd make them choke on the family they pretended to have. It started snowing that December in Omaha. The kind of wet, heavy flakes that cling to your coat like bad memories and turn the streets into a slushy apology for winter. I'd just gotten out, 18 months in county lockup for a crime that wasn't mine, stamped with my name like it was my goddamn destiny. Fraud, they called it. Embezzlement from the family auto shop, the one Dad built from a rusted garage into a chain of 3 dealerships stretching from Nebraska to Iowa. But it was Jake, my baby brother, the golden boy with the easy grin and the poker habit that bled us dry. He'd skimmed 50 grand to cover his debts, forged the checks in my name because I was the quiet one, the fixer, the girl who balanced the books after Mom's pills ran out and Dad's back gave way. I took the plea deal. 10 to 20. Knocked down to time served plus probation because the judge saw the exhaustion in my eyes and figured I was the type who'd eat the blame to keep the peace. Family sticks together, Mom had whispered in the courtroom, her voice cracking like thin ice, while Jake stood in the back row, head down, playing the remorseful sibling. He'd hug me after, promised to make it right, wired me $1,000 for commissary like it erased the years I'd lose staring at cinderblock walls. But promises from Jake were like Nebraska cornfields in July, tall, golden, and full of rot underneath. Out on the Greyhound from Lincoln, the bus rattling over black ice, I scrolled through the family group chat I'd been ghosted from. Pictures of Jake's engagement party in June, all champagne flutes and string lights at some Des Moines rooftop bar. Dad clapping him on the back, Mom beaming in her Sunday pearls, even Aunt Rita from Lincoln with her perm looking tighter than her wallet. No mention of me, of course. Just emojis and inside jokes about the shop's best year ever. I'd built that best year from a ledger in a back office, crunching numbers while Jake schmoozed buyers and Dad nursed his third heart scare. I'd covered the IRS audits, the supplier shortfalls, the time a hailstorm totaled half the lot and insurance dragged their feet. My hands were clean until Jake dirted them. The bus pulled into the downtown terminal at dusk, the air sharp with diesel and fried pretzels from the vendors. I had a duffel with 2 changes of clothes, a burner phone, and $500 in cash from a halfway house stipend. Probation meant no wheels, no booze. Weekly check-ins with a counselor named Trish who smelled like menthols and regret. But rules were for people who still believed in second chances. I hailed a cab to the old house on Dodge Street, the one with the sagging porch and the elm tree Dad swore was older than statehood. Lights blazed in every window, laughter spilling out like it was auditioning for a Hallmark card. Mom answered the door, her face crumpling like wet Kleenex. Emmy?
Oh.
Honey. We weren't expecting. She pulled me into a hug that smelled of lavender and desperation, her arms thin as bird bones. Behind her, the living room glowed with tinsel and a tree taller than my sentence, ornaments from my childhood dangling like forgotten IOUs. Dad was in his recliner, oxygen tube snaking under his flannel, remote in hand flipping channels. He grunted a hello, eyes flicking back to the game. And there was Jake, sprawled on the couch in a cashmere sweater that screamed Des Moines money. His fiancée Lauren perched on the armrest, her diamond catching the firelight like a taunt. Amelia, Jake shot up, all teeth and backslaps, like we were frat brothers at a tailgate.
Cease.
You look rested. How's the outside treating you? Lauren smiled too wide, the kind that hides orthodontist bills, and offered a manicured hand.
We've heard so much about you.
Jake says you're a numbers wizard. I forced a nod, the bourbon from the bus station already burning low in my gut. Yeah. Wizard enough to keep this roof over your heads while you played house. The words hung there, sharper than I meant. But Mom swooped in with eggnog and questions about the food, turkey or ham. I excused myself to the bathroom, splashing water on my face, staring at the mirror where my reflection looked like a stranger, hollow cheeks, eyes like spent cartridges. On the sink sat a stack of mail, forwarded from the shop. Unopened envelopes from creditors, the electric company, even the mortgage holder. Jake's doing, no doubt, pocketing the profits while the bills piled up. Dinner was a minefield of small talk and side eyes. Dad wheezed through stories of the shop's holiday sales, how they'd cleared $100K in Black Friday deals. Your brother's a natural.
Eminencia.
Closed a fleet sale with the state police last week. Jake preened, fork midway to his mouth. Lauren chiming in about wedding venues in the Badlands. Mom picked at her peas, avoiding my gaze. I chewed mechanically, the food tasting like ash, until I couldn't hold it anymore. So, who airbrushed me out of the Christmas card? I said it casual, like commenting on the weather, but the table froze. Forks clinked once, then silence. Lauren's laugh was a hiccup. What card? The one you sent to Uncle Ray last year. The one where I'm paying for the film but not in the frame. I pulled the crumpled photo from my pocket, the one I'd printed from the group chat. My face a pixelated void. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad cleared his throat, a rumble like distant thunder. Amelia.
That's
Water under the bridge. We were hurting too. You know. Jake leaned forward, eyes narrowing just a fraction, the tell he had when bluffing at cards. Come on.
cease. It was a rough time.
Publicity and all. Didn't want the optics looking bad for the business. Optics. The word landed like a slap. I'd rotted in a cell for his optics, covered his gambling markers with my overtime, balanced the books when he borrowed from petty cash to fund his Vegas weekends. Rough time, I echoed, voice steady as a loaded chamber. Tell that to the guards who strip-searched me because your mess made me a felon. Or the job apps that ghost me because of your signature on my life. Lauren shifted, uncomfortable silk against leather. Maybe we should. No, I cut her off, standing so fast my chair scraped like nails on chalkboard.
Let's
talk about the 50 grand you skimmed.
Jake.
The one I ate the charge for because Mom begged me to keep the family whole. Or how you're sitting here in a sweater that cost more than our light bill. While the shop's drowning in red ink again, the room erupted. Dad's oxygen hissed louder, his face purpling. Enough. You think you're the only one who suffered? I built that business with my hands.
Girl.
Blame yourself for being so damn soft. Mom sobbed into her napkin. Jake's mask cracked, anger flashing like a switchblade. Soft? You were always the martyr.
Eminencia.
Playing the hero, to feel big. I did what I had to for us for the future. Lauren and me, we're building something real. You're just bitter. Bitter. The word ignited something feral in my chest. I grabbed the stack of bills from the sideboard, slamming them down like a dealer's final hand. This is real. This is what I came home to. While you toast your future, I'm the one who kept the lights on. Again, Lauren stood, gathering her purse. This is toxic.
Jake.
We're leaving. But he didn't move. Eyes locked on mine. A standoff in the glow of Rudolph's red nose. Dad waved me off, muttering about ungrateful daughters, and Mom just cried harder. I walked out into the snow, the door slamming like a verdict, the cold biting deeper than any betrayal. That night, crashing on a cousin's couch in Council Bluffs, I pulled out the burner and started digging. Jake thought he was slick, but I knew his tells: offshore accounts masked as consulting fees, shell companies for his side hustles. The shop's books were online now, password protected with his birthday because he was that lazy.
By dawn,
I had printouts, transfers to a Cayman account, fake invoices for parts that never shipped. 50 grand was just the tip. He'd been bleeding the business for years, using my time away to consolidate control. Dad signed off on everything, blind or bought. Mom? She knew. Emails in the archive, pleading with Jake to stop, then deleting them like prayers unanswered. Probation be damned. I needed a plan. Revenge wasn't a bonfire, it was a slow burn, embers under ash until the whole structure collapsed. First, I hit the library in Iowa City, posing as a student to use their databases. Pulled Jake's credit report, maxed cards, liens on his truck. Lauren's socials were a goldmine, wedding registry at Crate and Barrel, honeymoon booked to Maui. She had no idea her prince was a house of cards. By week 2, I was subletting a basement in Des Moines, waitressing at a dive called Rusty's for cash under the table. Nights, I shadowed Jake. He was cocky now, strutting the showroom floor in pressed khakis, closing deals with that shark smile. I sat in the coffee shop across the street, nursing black brew, sketching timelines. The wedding was in May, peak tulip season. Invitations out by Valentine's.
Perfect.
I started small. Anonymous tip to the finance guy at the main branch, discrepancies in the vendor payments. Watched from afar as Jake sweated through a meeting, blaming glitches. Then, a whisper to Lauren's bridal forum account, hacked with a phishing email disguised as a vendor quote. Heard the groom's got skeletons. Check his ex's record.
Petty.
But it planted the seed. She started asking questions at the next family dinner.
Texts intercepted via clone SIM.
Dad called once. Voice frail over the line. Come home.
Eminência.
We miss you. Jake, sorry.
Lies.
All of it. I hung up, the click echoing like a chambered round. Spring thawed the Platte River, turning Omaha's edges soft and treacherous, the kind of weather where secrets bubble up like silt. I'd lost 10 pounds by then, living on diner scraps and spite, my shifts at Rusty's blending into a haze of grease and leers from truckers who tipped in quarters. But the plan sharpened with every denied loan application. Every felony? Sorry. Not a fit email. Jake was unraveling. Threads I pulled one by one. It was mid-March when I made contact with Ray. Uncle Ray, the black sheep who'd washed out of the family business in '98 over a disagreement with Dad about inventory. Lived in a double-wide outside Lincoln now, tinkering with hot rods and nursing a grudge longer than my sentence. I drove out in a borrowed Civic, the radio stuck on classic rock anthems about bad moons rising. He met me on the porch, shotgun propped casual against the rail, eyes squinting like he was sighting a buck. Emilia. Heard you took a fall for that weasel. What brings the prodigal back? His laugh was gravel, but his handshake firm. Over lukewarm buds. I laid it out, not the sob story, but the numbers. Spreadsheets on his kitchen table. Red ink screaming theft. Ray whistled low, tracing a finger over Jake's Cayman transfers. Boy's got balls. I'll give him that. But sloppy. Always was.
He knew people.
Ex-cops from the fraud squad. Burned out and buying rounds at VFW halls. By Easter, we had a ghost in the system, a forensic accountant named Vic, moonlighting for cash, who'd audit the books pro bono if I fronted his bar tab. Vic was a wreck, divorced, diabetic, chain-smoking camels, but his brain was a scalpel. 2 weeks later, he handed me a report thicker than the Bible. Timestamps proving Jake's diversions dated back to Mom's cancer scare in 19. I'd covered those treatments too, dipping into savings while he blew bonuses on fantasy football leagues. The report was dynamite, but lighting the fuse too early would backfire. Probation check-ins with Trish were weekly inquisitions now. She smelled the edge in me. The way my hands shook when I talked about reintegration. Anger's normal. Emilia, she'd say, pen tapping like a metronome. But revenge? That's a cycle. Break it. I nodded, lied through my teeth, and drove straight to a storage unit in West Des Moines, where I stashed the files in a lockbox next to my old baseball glove, the one Jake had pawned for blackjack chips. April brought dogwoods blooming along the interstate, mocking the frost in my veins. Lauren's bridal shower was at the Omaha Country Club, a spread of mimosas and monogrammed towels I'd seen pics of on her Insta. I didn't crash, too obvious. Instead, I sent the gift, an engraved money clip with Jake's initials, filled with photocopies of his gambling statements from the Horseshoe in Council Bluffs. No note, just a tag, for the honeymoon fund. She posted it blurred. All hearts and surprise from a secret admirer, but the comments dried up after that. Jake started drinking at lunch, showing up to the shop with bloodshot eyes and excuses about allergies. I escalated. Hired a PI kid from Iowa State, some poli-sci major named Dex who moonlighted for beer money. He tailed Jake to a strip club in La Vista, caught him slipping a dancer an envelope. Hush money. Probably.
For a loan gone south.
Dex's photos hit my inbox at 2 a.m. Grainy but gold, Jake's face twisted in negotiation. The envelope marked with the shop's logo. I forwarded them to Dad anonymously, via a burner email spoofed as an concerned employee. Dad's reply? Radio silence. But the next board meeting, overheard through a bugged conference line Dex planted, erupted. What the hell is this?
So?
Dad's voice. Wheezy but thunderous. Jake's denials. Oily as ever. Photoshop.
Dad.
Competitors gunning for us. Mom reached out then. A voicemail trembling with tears. Emmy.
Please.
Your brother's spiraling.
Come talk to him.
For me. For you. The words curdled. She'd known about the skimming. Vic's report had her emails, begging Jake to repay before Em finds out. But she chose silence. Like always, patching the family quilt with denial instead of truth. I deleted the message, blocked the number, and turned to the next thread. The wedding loomed, invitations sealed with wax like medieval decrees. Lauren's dress fitting leaked online. Vera Wong. Ivory silk that cost what I made in a year. I pictured her in it. Vows exchanged under a gazebo, while Jake's lies festered. Time for the flip. I met Vic at a truck stop off I-80. The report updated with fresh discrepancies. Jake authorizing a marketing payout to his own LLC. Siphoning $20K for a down payment on a condo in Scottsdale. "This'll sink him," Vic said, exhaling smoke rings. "But Amelia, once it's out, it's out. No takebacks." I took it to Ray, who nodded slow. "We go public?"
IRS.
State AG. Shop folds. Dad's legacy in the toilet. His eyes gleamed, the grudge alive. But I hesitated. The shop wasn't just bricks, it was Dad's sweat. Mom's recipes in the break room crock pot. My first paycheck at 16 for alphabetizing invoices. Burning it meant orphaning us all. "Not yet," I said. "Twist the knife first." May arrived with tornado warnings. Skies bruised purple over the Missouri. I drove to the shop under cover of a squall. Hood up. Slipping through the service bay like a shadow. Jake's office was a shrine to his ascent. Framed sales awards. A mini fridge stocked with IPAs. A safe cracked open because he trusted no one but himself. Inside, deposit slips for his slush fund, and a USB drive labeled personal. Plugged it into his desktop, voila. Videos. Not the fun kind.
Jake.
Drunk at a bachelor party last summer. Bragging to buddies about framing the ice queen sis to climb the ladder. Laughs. Clinking glasses. Then the gut punch. She deserved it. Always acting like Mom's little saint, covering for Dad's benders. Time she paid up. My hands shook as I copied the file. The rain hammering the roof like judgment. Betrayal wasn't abstract anymore. It had a timestamp. 1:47 a.m., July 14th. I emailed it to Lauren from a VPN. Subject: Your future. Unfiltered. By morning, her stories were dark mode. No captions. Just a black screen and a single wilted rose emoji. Jake called the shop line. Dex patched it through. "You bitch," he hissed. Voice raw. "Whatever you're doing, stop. Family doesn't do this. Family." The word was poison now. "Family took the fall for you," I said, calm as plat silt. "This is just settling the tab." He laughed. Bitter. "You think you're clean? That plea deal? I know about the shortages you fudged in 18. We're the same."
Eminência.
Rot in the roots. The line went dead. Rot in the roots. It lodged in my gut like buckshot. Had I? Those late nights. Dipping into cash for Mom's chemo copays. Marking it as miscellaneous, not fraud. Survival. But the line blurred. Didn't it? Jake's mirror held truths I didn't want to see. The rehearsal dinner was at a steakhouse in Axarben. Ribeyes and rhetoric about eternal bonds. I didn't show, but Dex did, posing as a waiter, spiking Jake's scotch with ipecac from a pharmacy drop. He spent the night heaving in the alley. Vows postponed till morning. Lauren's text to her maid of honor. Is he sick or just scared? God. What did I marry into? I watched from the parking lot. Wipers slapping rhythm. The steakhouse neon bleeding red across the dash. Victory tasted like bile. Dad's truck pulled up late. Him hobbling in with a cane now. Mom on his arm. They looked smaller. Frayed at the... For a heartbeat, I gripped the wheel, tempted to burst in, to shatter the illusion with the USB in hand. But no. The climax wasn't fists, it was fallout. By wedding eve, the storm broke. Vic leaked the report to the Omaha World Herald. Anonymous source, insider whistleblower. Front page splash by dawn. Auto empire built on embezzlement? Questions swirl around heir apparent. Jake's face beside Dad's. Mugshot style. The Cayman account splashed in bold. The shop's phones rang off the hook, customers canceling. Suppliers freezing lines. Lauren called it at 10 a.m. Voicemail to Jake echoing in Dex's bug. I can't marry a liar. We're done. I holed up in the basement. TV flickering with the new news. Dad's presser outside the flagship dealership. Voice cracking. A family matter. We'll make it right. No mention of me. Jake was MIA. Probably holed up in a motel with a bottle. Mom texted from a new number. Why? Emmy? We're ruined. Ruined. The word echoed as sirens wailed distant. Cops at the shop. No doubt. AG's office moving fast. I poured a tumbler of bottom-shelf whiskey. The burn steadying my pulse. Revenge was here. A house of cards folding. But the high was hollow. Laced with the rot Jake named. Summer scorched the Midwest that June. Heat waves rippling off cornstalks like bad karma. Turning Omaha into a skillet where grudges simmered slow. The shop teetered, sales plummeted 30%. Dad shuttering the Iowa branch overnight. Layoffs hitting the mechanics who taught me to change oil at 12. Headlines churned. Fraud fallout. Local dynasty in tatters. Jake's face was everywhere. That easy grin twisted into infamy. His Scottsdale dream foreclosed before the ink dried. I kept low. Shifts at Rusty's doubled. Tips drying up as gossip spread. The ex-con waitress with the vendetta. Trish cornered me in her office. Files splayed like a tarot spread. You're spiraling. Amelia. This isn't reintegration. It's sabotage. I stared at the carpet, nodding lies. But inside, the plan's momentum pulled like a riptide. Sabotage? Call it justice with teeth. Ray called from his double wide. Voice thick with glee. A.G. Scott warrants. Your brother's sweating cuffs by 4th of July. Vic cashed his check. Vanished to a Reno casino, loose and tied. But Dex, the kid, got sloppy. A tail on Jake led to a bar fight in Bellevue. His nose bloodied. Questions from uniforms. Amateur. Ray grunted when I told him. Cut him loose. I did. Wiring 200 for a bus ticket east. His last words a slurry, your ice.
Eminência.
But ice cracks.
Cracks. Yeah.
Nights alone. The basement's concrete walls closing in. I replayed Jake's video confession on loop. The betrayal a loop of its own. But doubt crept, those 18 shortages. The ones I'd buried for Mom. Were we the same? Rot in the roots, he'd said. I drove to the old cemetery off Highway 92, where Grandma lay under a stone-etched faithful servant. She'd raised us after Mom's first relapse. Her Bible stories about forgiveness clashing with the whiskey on her breath. Turn the other cheek. Emmy, she'd say. Then pocket Dad's change for bingo. Hypocrites. All of us. Dad reached out through a lawyer. A slick suit from downtown who met me at a Perkins over pancakes. Mr. Harlan wants reconciliation. The business is salvageable if. Complications clear. Translation. Drop the leaks. Testify, it was mutual mismanagement. I laughed into my coffee. Steam curling like smoke signals. Tell him the complications, his son. And mine. The lawyer slid a folder across. Settlement offer. $50K and a consulting role, once probation lifted. Bribe wrapped in bow. I burned it in the diner lot that night. Flames licking the pages. Acrid as regret. But the offer stuck. A what-if worming in. $50K could buy a fresh start, Seattle. Maybe. Rain washing the dust. No more ledgers. No more lies. Jake surfaced mid-month, cornering me post-shift at Rusty's. The lot empty save for semis idling like beasts. He looked hollowed, stubble silvering his jaw. Eyes wild under the sodium lights.
Eminência. Please.
They're coming for me.
10 years.
Minimum. His voice broke. The golden boy cracked porcelain. I didn't mean it got out of hand. The debts. The pressure. You were always the strong one. I thought you'd handle it. Handle it. Like a bad check or a flat tire. Rage surged, hot as the asphalt. You thought I'd eat your sins because that's what sisters do? I lost everything.
Jake.
Friends. Future. Freedom. For what? Your poker face. He grabbed my arm. Grip desperate. Where blood? Dad's dying, docs say months. Mom's popping Xanax like Tic-Tacs. You do this. You kill us all. Tears tracked his cheeks. Genuine or not. And for a second, the kid who'd shared my treehouse flashed. 8 years old. Promising to protect me from bullies. Lies. Even then. I wrenched free. The contact electric. Blood?
You bled us dry.
Live with it. But as he staggered to his truck, headlights flaring, something twisted, a pity or the first fracture in my armor. The raid hit July 4th. Fireworks popping ironic over the dealership as feds and windbreakers hauled boxes from Jake's office. TV crews swarmed. Dad's face ashen in the glare. Innocent until proven. Jake turned himself in at dawn. Orange jumpsuit swallowing his frame. No bail for flight risk. Lauren sold stories to the rags. Blindsided bride. Her ring pawned for a lawyer. Mom vanished to a sister's in Sioux City. Radio silence broken only by a postcard. Forgive us. Forgiveness. The word mocked as I packed the basement. Probation transfer approved to a halfway in Lincoln, cleaner slate. Or so Trish thought. But the climax brewed. Not in cuffs but consequence. Ray met me at a roadhouse off 77. Ribs and ribs, spare and baby back, grease absolving sins. Boy's plea is 24.
Cooperating.
Fingers at dad. Suppliers. Even you on those old fudges.
Me.
The worm bit deeper. We plotted the endgame over pie. Testify at Jake's hearing. Not as victim, but co-conspirator. Twist the narrative, family affair, spread the blame like butter on bad bread. Dad's legacy smeared. But survives, Jake's sentence halved. Maybe. Polarizing? Yeah. Readers picking sides. Was I avenger or enabler? Savior or sinner? Ray grinned.
Sauce on his chin.
Makes them argue at Thanksgiving. Perfect revenge. But driving back. Lightning splitting the sky. Doubts stormed.
Testify.
And I owned the rot, my fudges. My silence. Walk away. And Jake walked lighter. The betrayal diluted. The decision loomed. A razor's edge. August baked the plains. Harvest, dust, choking the air. Dad's hospice call came collect. Lung cancer. Stage 4.
The emphysema coup de grâce.
See me. He rasped. No bark left. I went. The room sterile as a vault. Machines beeping dirges. He looked skeletal. Eyes sunken but sharp. You did this, he whispered.
No preamble.
For what? Pride.
Pride.
Or payback. You signed his checks.
Dad.
Knew the numbers didn't add. Chose him over me. Every time. He coughed. A rattle like loose change. He's my son. The one who stayed. You? Always leaving college dreams. That boyfriend in Denver. Jake built it back. Built it on my back. But his hand, liver spotted, reached for mine. End it. Drop the suit. Let us die whole.
Die whole.
The words hung as monitors flatlined a warning. Nurses swarming. He stabilized. But the plea lingered, a hook in my gut. Jake's hearing was set for Labor Day. Federal courthouse in downtown Omaha. Marble halls echoing with fates. I prepped with Ray, scripted testimony. Half-truths to muddy the waters. Amelia Harlan. Take the stand. The bailiff's voice boomed. Flashbulbs popping like gunfire. Jake in shackles. Gaze averted. Mom in the gallery. Veil thin. Lauren absent, but her absence a ghost. I swore the oath. Hand on Bible. The weight familiar. MS. Harlan, the prosecutor started. Voice silk over steel. You served time for your brother's fraud. Why protect him now?
Protect.
The lie I'd lived. I glanced at Jake, defeated, but a flicker of that bluff in his eyes. Dad's words echoed, die whole. The courtroom held its breath. Reporters scribbling. The AC humming judgment. And then I flipped. Protect. I echoed. Voice steady. The microphone amplifying my exhale like a confession. The gallery murmured. Judge Harlan, no relation. Iron gray bun, tapping her gavel for order.
No.
Counselor. I didn't protect him. I survived him. The prosecutor blinked. Off script. Elaborate. MS. Harlan. I leaned forward. The wood cool under my palms. Eyes on Jake. He met them finally. Confusion creasing his brow. Jake didn't just skim. He orchestrated. Forged my name. Planted the trails. Knew I'd take the fall because that's what Harlans do, clean up messes. But here's the twist. I knew about his gambling.
The debts.
I covered smaller hits before. For Mom's sake. Not fraud, survival. He weaponized that. Made me the villain in his hero story. Gasps rippled. Mom sob a knife twist. Jake's lawyer objected. Hearsay. But the judge overruled. Intrigued. I laid it out, the 18 fudges. My chemo copays buried in ledgers. Jake's video brag. Time-stamped and damning. He's not the heir apparent. He's the arsonist. Burning the house to sell the ashes. Chaos erupted sidebars. Recesses. The prosecutor scrambling to pivot. Jake lunged forward. Cuffs rattling. Liar, you're framing me now? After everything? Everything. I shot back. Voice cracking but fierce. You framed me first. This is Echo. Brother. Karma in stereo. The judge adjourned. Bail denied. Jake hauled off hollering denials. Outside. Press mobbed. Vindication or vendetta? Family implodes in court drama. I slipped through. Ray waiting in the Civic. Cigarette dangling. Bold move.
Kid.
Testimony or takedown? Truth, I said, but it tasted like ash. Truth was the ultimate flip, exposing us all, rot and roots. Dad flatlined that night. Monitor silent as his regrets. Mom's eulogy at the funeral home was a whisper. He loved you. Emmy. Both of you. Lies to the end. Jake's trial ballooned, my words the match. Feds digging deeper, unearthing Dad's complicity in tax dodges. Mom's pill scripts funneled through the business. The shop auctioned off in October. Proceeds to creditors. The chain dissolved like sugar in rain. Winter circled back. First snow dusting the Missouri by Thanksgiving. I transferred to Seattle halfway. Barista gig at a Pike Place roastery. The Space Needle mocking my isolation with its blinking eye. Probation ended clean. Trisha's parting gift. A card. You broke the cycle. Proud. Cycle? Maybe. Jake got 8 years. Federal pen in Leavenworth. Lauren's divorce filing public record. Mom sold the house. Moved to assisted living in Lincoln. Our calls stilted. Weather reports. Not wounds.
But the twist?
It came in a letter. Postmarked Canyon City. Forwarded through Ray. Jake scrawl. Shaky. You were right. Rot in the roots. But those fudges? I covered bigger ones for you. Dad's 15 DUI. The one that killed the pedestrian on 80. He was driving. Not you. Swerved for a deer.
Hit a semi.
I switched the logs.
Put you at the desk that night.
You took the blame. Remember? Plea to reckless. Community service. Saved his license. The business. We're even now. Or were. Forgive?
Nah.
But understand, family's a debt we all pay. The paper trembled in my hands. Coffee forgotten. The letter crumpling like that Christmas photo. Dad's secret crash, the one I'd shouldered. Thinking it my fault for not picking up the phone. Jake's cover. His first favor. A loop. Endless. Who betrayed who? I the martyr? Or the monster enabling it all? I burned the letter in a pier-side barrel. Embers dancing over the sound. The Space Needle winking indifferent. Even?
No.
But debatable, readers. If this tale escaped these walls, would split. Was my revenge righteous reckoning or ruthless recursion? Did I free us? Or forge tighter chains? Seattle's rain fell steady, washing salt from the air. And I walked into it. Unburdened or unbroken. The line blurred eternal. Family wasn't blood. It was the bill we ignored until it bankrupted the soul. And, in the end, I paid it forward, one shocking flip at a time.